Hello everyone! Today we're going to be learning how to make a pumpkin inspired by Japanese artist Yayoi Kusama. So the first thing that we have to do is actually make the pumpkin, draw it, and I always suggest to draw in pencil first. That way you can erase if you make a mistake. So I'm going to start my pumpkin out with a stem. So I'm going to make just a little oval for the top of the stem. And then I'll come down like this. And then near the top of the stem where this oval is, I'll start and I'll just make a little kind of an oval shape around it. It's not a perfect oval because pumpkins don't have perfect ovals there. Now we're going to be doing different sections of the pumpkin. So I'm going to start near the edges here. And I'm going to go out a little, in a little, and back out again. I'm going close to the bottom of the paper, but not exactly. Now I'm going to come up a little bit, and I'm going to just kind of follow that same contour, that edge, and I'm going to stop a little bit before the bottom. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Pumpkins come in so many different shapes and sizes, so if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, it's okay. So notice each time I'm starting a little bit above, and I am going to stop a little bit before the end. All right, so you want to go ahead and make about 3 of those. All right, so the next thing I want to do is you can take a marker, and if you're working at school or at home, you want to make sure that when you're using a marker, especially if it's a permanent marker, that you put something underneath your paper here, because otherwise you will get the marker all over the table, because permanent marker tends to bleed through. So I'm just putting something under here, and then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to go ahead and trace over top. You could use a marker that's not permanent, that's fine, but I happen to have a permanent one here, so I'm going to use that. I'm just tracing my lines. If you don't trace your line perfectly, you can always go back with an eraser and touch that up by just erasing the pencil line that you missed. See, I missed a little bit right there. Not a big deal. I can just go back later and erase that out. Notice I'm tracing nice and slowly and carefully. Alright, so I can take my eraser now and I can erase out that little bit right there where I missed it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our Kusama style dots, because she is known as the queen of polka dots, and she uses polka dots in everything, and she really likes to do pumpkins. So I'm going to be doing some large polka dots and some small polka dots. Now, you don't have to do the same pattern of polka dots as I do, but I'm going to put polka dots in this front section. So however you want to put your polka dots, put them in a line, but again, they don't have to be exactly like my polka dots. And I'm going to go ahead and put some small ones. In this one I have large, medium, and small. Maybe I'll do this one the opposite way. Maybe I'll put the smaller ones and put medium ones around the edge. However you want to do that. So now I'm going to put some medium ones. The idea here is just to put lines of polka dots down this front. Now we're going to kind of mix the Kusama style polka dots with line, because line is also an element of design, and we have lines on our pumpkin, but we're also going to put lines every other section. So lines come in all different sizes. Here I have a loopy line. I could have done so many different kinds of lines, so don't feel like you need to copy the kind of lines that I'm making. So I'm just going to put some repeated lines on my pumpkin on that side and on this side. And again, I really like creativity and originality, so try not to do the same exact lines that I do. Now I'm going to go back for the next section to my polka dots. And then I'm going to go back to my lines for the last one. And of course you would do the same thing on this side. So I'm not going to take the time to actually do that on this video, but you know you would do that. After you have your lines, now you're going to take your marker, or if you don't have markers, you could use crayons, whatever you happen to have, and we're going to alternate colors here. So I want you to either use an all warm color scheme or an all cool color scheme. Now an all warm color scheme would be to make this yellow, orange, or kind of a reddish color. So if you are doing warm, even pink, you could use. So I'm going to be using the warm colors. You could also use a cool color scheme, because sometimes you don't have to actually make things in the colors that they actually appear. So if you would like to use a cool color scheme, then you would color this in blue and green and purple. So, and of course I would repeat that on this side. So like this section would be orange over here. Now, I did this one in yellow and orange, but I could also use a reddish color if I wanted to. So I'll just do that reddish color on this one. And you can see I'm going right over my marker. That's why I like to use permanent marker, because I can go right over it and it won't smear. If you don't have permanent markers, you may want to do the coloring first and then go ahead over it. So like for instance, you may want to color in every other section without having anything in the section like this. And then take your marker that's not permanent, which I have one here, I just have a Crayola marker, and then go over top of that. And that way the black doesn't smear. So you don't have to have a permanent marker. So just once again, if you have a permanent marker, you can do the marker that is permanent first, and I like to use black, and then you can color over that. If you don't have permanent marker, do the color first, and then do the black over top of the color. So either way works fine, it looks the same in the end. So I would just need to go ahead and finish this one, because again, I'm doing every other one a different color. Notice how I'm kind of going along the edges. I'm following the contour, the outer edge of these lines here that I have. So then on this side, I would go ahead and color that in as well. So it's every other one would be a different color here. So I have orange, and then this is raspberry, and then another orange, and another raspberry. So I'm just alternating back and forth between my colors. And then of course I would need to put my lines on that side. So this pumpkin then would be close to being finished, but the only thing I need to do next to make it completed is this right here. The stem could be brown or it could be green. So you can color that stem either brown or green. Color that in really nicely. I'm going to give you a couple of options for the background for your pumpkin. You can either just draw, maybe this pumpkin is sitting on the ground, so I'm going to draw above this last place right here. You could do that, and then you could color in down here and color in up here. So it looks like your pumpkin is sitting on the ground. You could make a design in the background, or you could do what I have done on this one, and this is actually watercolor. So if you're doing a watercolor pumpkin in the background here, and again, this is just an option, this is not something that you have to do. You can use other kinds of materials for the background of your pumpkin. You could do a whole thing of crayon or oil pastel or colored pencil, but I'm just going to demonstrate real quick what to do if you're going to do watercolor. Now, if you did your pumpkin in warm colors, I want you to do cool colors in the background. If you did your pumpkin in cool colors, I want you to use the warm colors in the background. So I have used the warm colors here. I'm going to use cool colors in the background. I'm going to take my water, and this is going to be a watercolor wash, so I'm just going to get a nice layer of water on my paper first. This is kind of a thick paper, so it doesn't curl up so much. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip in purple. And I'm just going to lay down some purple color. And it spreads easy because the paper is already wet. And that's what makes this watercolor spread easy, and that's what makes it a wash. So you never want to use this really, really dry. And you're going to get more color as well if you use this, so it's not like super soppy wet, but it's just kind of got a little puddle in there so that you can just keep dipping in that little puddle. And again, I'm just going back and forth. And then I'm going to dip my brush in the water, and I'm going to go where these two colors meet and kind of blend them together a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to go into my green. You may be doing red and orange and yellow. So if you do the warm colors, I suggest that you do red at the top, and then orange in the middle, and yellow at the bottom. If you do the cool colors, I suggest that you do purple, and then blue, and then green. And then I'm going to, again, brush my water here, get a little bit of the water off my brush, and then just kind of blend those two colors together. All I have to do now is just wait till this dries, and then I would need to take this pumpkin and cut it out, and then glue it to the dry paper, and then we'll be all finished. All right, so I hope you have fun making your Kusama style pumpkin, and I hope you learn a lot about the element of line and about using polka dots with your lines. So have fun with your pumpkin.